Good morning and welcome, Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquint, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. I got to even learn how to breathe anymore. I choked myself right there. Yeah, I know. It sucks getting old, doesn't it? allamericangold.com is the website, and it is Tuesday. Gold and silver continuing to recover here. We got gold up about $8-9. Silver's up another 20 cents as we're recovering here from the sell-off. Gas prices, wow. Second day in a row. Up another 10 cents a gallon here in Phoenix, $5. Well, $4.99.9, and that's on the cheaper side of things. It's not done, guys. Right now, unleaded gas futures wholesale above $4, so that's $5.20, $5.25, and heading higher. I know California officially now over $6. A gallon, and it is starting to force companies out of business. We'll tell you all about that and so much more on today's Patriot Radio News Hour show. Jason is joining me again from Colorado. Jason, good morning and welcome. At least you guys are a little cheaper in Colorado gas than here in Arizona.
Yeah, we're a little cheaper than Arizona from when you come in with the prices. I don't look at it. I don't get gas very much, so I don't look at the prices. What I use was a process.
Well, I can't miss it. There's a big right on my way to work. Right as I'm getting to the office, there's a Circle K, and it's got the big gas sign. It's got the almost like the billboard size. So it's right in front of my face as I drive by. I can't miss it.
Right. Yep. And I think there's a brand new gas station here in Johnstown, so I kind of remind myself to look at the little sign, but I don't pass by any gas stations when I come here. So I'll have to do the Johnstown gas station price as a part of watching the prices go up this year. But no, I used to as a processor, I used to fill up my tank almost every day or every 2 days because I would put 300, 400, 500 miles in every couple of days. So it used to be a huge deal. So I guess I'm glad I'm sitting in a radio studio right now instead of buying gas.
Yeah, that's for sure. There used to be a show, and I don't know. I'll say it was on Discovery. One of those. It was early on in the reality TV stage, and it had to do with a logging company in North Carolina. And they were on, I think they ran maybe a couple of years. And it was actually pretty good. I was fascinated by it and all the machines and stuff. Goodson's All-Terrain Logging. They've been in business for 37 years. They just announced they are closing down. Think about this. Lumber has been at record high prices. Even today, even though it's off the highs, lumber's about 4 times higher than it normally would be per 1,000 board feet. And he's saying, you know what? Doesn't matter. The price of gas and diesel, he goes, I haven't talked to a logger in the past few years that is actually making money. How's that possible, right? And you think about again, and we see this a lot here where the ranchers, right? Sky-high beef prices, and the ranchers are like, hey, listen, we're not getting it, right? They're not paying us. A lot of ranchers are either going out of business or they're switching from grass-fed to cheaper-fed beef because they're not getting the prices that they need to get. And apparently here in the United States, we know the next worst enemy besides, oil and natural gas refineries is probably lumber, right? Because, there's got to be spotted owls somewhere. But says that it's impossible to make money. He's going to start selling off his equipment. He goes, I can't park stuff for 6 and 8 months. waiting for the economy to turn around. So really, and again, this is something Jason and I have been talking about for a while. When you look at the top side of the economy, it all looks rosy, but underneath, just like the stock market, it really, listen, I keep saying it, October is going to be ugly. Fuel prices soaring. When you've got a fleet of trucks and you're running 700 to 800 miles a day, a truck is going to get 5 miles to the gallon, right? Think about these trucks loaded up with lumber. Fuel increases kill you. There's no way out. In the United States, logging is something where I don't know how any loggers can make it here, Jason. And again, this doesn't bode well for lumber prices either.
Yeah, fuel affects everything. You know, the reason we talk about it every single day is that no matter what the problems are for whatever, you know, you're talking about loggers, it just adds on. It's an add-on to everything. So we already had inflation. Now we have the oil prices going up with the inflation. Of course, the war in Ukraine puts stress on oil and natural gas and all that stuff, Joe. So it's, you know, every day we talk about it. And I mean, how for people who aren't getting ready and trying to save some resources aside for the storm coming, you know, when you see the clouds getting dark and ugly, you know, you get ready for a storm, right, Joe? You make sure you're not caught out in the middle of it, right? That's what we do here at Patriot.
Yeah, and again, you would think about lumber. God, Bobby Goodson, 37 years in the business. It's got to be making money hand over fist. Nope, out of business. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll talk about home builders and what they had to say this morning, and Walmart with a huge earnings miss. 800-951-0592. Swamp Loggers was the name of the show. The girls I was talking about it. Man, I used to really like that show. But again, these are things you don't think about, right? When you're talking about, you know, lumber's at all-time highs, you would think that would mean he's got great business, and it's just the opposite. It's never what you think, right? He's just the guy they pay to get the wood out. He doesn't own the wood, right? They just do the dirty work. And he's like, hey, listen, they're not paying me enough to get the wood out with gas prices doing what they're doing. And again, Jason, this false scarcity thing, you know, think about this. How do you keep lumber prices super high? Well, you make it unaffordable to actually cut the trees down.
Right, and then every part of society that helps fund, you know, we're all on this on-time delivery for goods, especially if we're coming from China. But yeah, everything just comes on time, Joe. The system in place is just enough for everybody. You know, when people need more, they add a little more to the next truck. But when things like the baby formula factory shuts down, or warehouses all over the country start burning up, or getting planes hitting them, or a war breaks out in Ukraine. You know, when these things happen, and people are making decisions. You know, for me, it's staged. But even if it's staged or not, these things are happening, and it causes the supply line to get altered and messed up. And then, of course, then you've got the economic system, which is the cause of all of it, is already causing massive inflation before it. All this stuff that's happening, Joe, all these things that are going bump in the night to make it worse. They're making this thing way worse. I mean, way worse. I mean, the baby formula thing should never happen.
Diesel's going to 6, probably 7. Unleaded gas 5, on its way to 6, and which means, and again, adjust that for where you are. If you're at a place, you know, where gas is $4, it's going to be 5. If it's already 5, it's going to be 6. Right? California's already 6, going to be 7. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to scare you. I'm just looking at the numbers. The U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve is now at the lowest level since 1987 and getting lower. The United States now says that they only have about 530 million barrels in the reserve left. That sounds like a lot. It's not. I mean, when you really think about the United States, we're probably consuming about 22 million barrels a day. They're drawing over 5 million barrels a week out of the reserve. And, of course, this is supposed to be the emergency time. By the way, crude oil rallying again today on assumptions that China and that Shanghai is going to reopen soon. And, again, I've been warning you about this. Wait till China reopens. That's going to add, Jason, at least another $5 to $10 a barrel onto the crude oil side. Right now, crude oil, by the way, $115 a barrel. I'm thinking $125. And to Jason's point now, here's the problem. Any little thing. Oh, a refiner had to shut down unexpectedly. There was an explosion in a pipeline in Iraq or Libya or some other bad news out of Russia and Ukraine, or that's a hurricane coming through the Gulf, right? As we're getting ready to go into hurricane season, then all of a sudden, here comes another $10, $20, $30 a barrel, Jason.
That's correct, Joe. And you're going to bring in Walmart and having bad earnings. I get the feeling Walmart's doing just fine. So you're going to talk about the bad earnings. Well, I think it's because Walmart's doing what Rockefeller did. What Rockefeller and Standard Oil in the 1800s, Joe, they found a market, and Walmart's in a much more competitive market than Standard Oil and Rockefeller was. He took over the oil market completely, and then they did things like they bought up all the barrels, so the competitions are pumping oil and they have nothing to put it in. Well, I think Walmart's doing the same thing with truck drivers, Joe, and other types of employment for what they sell. Because, hey, my brother drives a truck, and he's got nothing bad to say. What, is he going to go work for somebody else for less money, less benefits, less ability? I think Walmart's cranked up the amount they're paying everybody and the amount for expense, because they know they're going to be able to charge a much higher price when all the competition gets just squeezed out, Joe.
Yeah, Walmart shares down 9% this morning. Unexpected and unusual environment from the CEO of Walmart. Inflation at a 4-decade high, but Walmart says it's worse than that. Significant jump in fuel prices, elevated labor costs, aggressive inventory levels. So this is something Jason's talked about for a while. This is the problem. The little guys are getting shut out. And I'm telling you now, we're going to see a huge decrease. You think about Bobby Goodson and his logging company. Small businesses are going to be under attack here. Walmart buying everything in sight, right? Just like Jason said, hey, we've got huge inventory levels. We're going to have it, but nobody else is. They said merchandise arriving later and later. Things like lack of grills, plants, and pool chemicals, they said. How much pool chemicals do they sell? But again, once again, the biggest thing, they were looking for $1.48 a share, came in at $1.30. Revenue, and this shows you how bad the inflation really is. They were looking at just under $139 billion for the quarter. $141.5 billion was the actual number. And when you think about that, hey, wait a minute, you beat revenue by $2.5 billion and still missed earnings the way they did. And this is just some of the lies, if you will, on the inflationary side of things. Home builder sentiment fell again, but this one, Jason, it's starting to get scary now with the home builders, because this is the 5th straight month of declines, but the size of the declines are starting to get really big. This month, it went from 77 down to 69, and just take my word for it, that's a big drop. They said single-family sales fell. Future single-family sales collapsed. Prospective buyer traffic collapsed. The housing market remains challenging. Home builders are saying that costs continue to rise along with interest rates, making homes unaffordable for most Americans. And then that's just in their little sentiment report, Jason.
And here's the scary thing about housing, Joe, is because of the housing crash in '08. They never really caught back up with demand when demand started coming back. And so if it costs too much to build the house and they can't sell the new ones, there won't be more inventory to catch up with already really not enough houses out there, whether you want to rent them or buy them. So, Joe, I don't know if the housing prices collapse with the markets and the other things. They might just go sideways, but still, where are you going to rent? What are you going to buy? Everything's crashing.
I think that's exactly what home builders are saying. They're saying, hey, listen, traffic's way down, right? People interested in buying a house way down, but yet price not down, right? Prices are still rising. They're saying that the cost to build homes is up 20%. I mean, to Jason's point, it's really
that's a really bad situation. When things crash, Joe, it usually makes it a little easier, and then the prices of things go down a little bit.
Prices fall.
With everything else, maybe that'll happen, but with housing, it may not. Which makes it. I mean, that's the number one expense: your rent or your mortgage, right? That's your number one expense. If that can't go down, when you get you're losing jobs and you're losing ability to make money, it's going to make things harder. I mean, gas prices going up and housing prices can't go down in a crash. I mean, people are going to be out on the street, Joe. You're going to see the depression-type stuff that people talk about.
Well, guess what? I got more bad news. All of us with cell phones. Verizon now the latest, joining AT&T. That's pretty much most of the cell people out there. They're raising the price of your wireless bill, and they're doing it in a really interesting way. Administrative charges. Right, so that way they hey, listen, we're still only charging you $99 a line, but we got these administrative charges. Administrative charges are going to be added to every voice line, starting with the June phone bill as a new economic adjustment charge. Wow, so here's what they're doing. A $1.35 increase in administration charges, and then a new economic adjustment charge increasing by $2.27 a month for the basic plan, according to people at Verizon. So get ready when you get your new bill out as the new economic adjustment charge. Could you imagine everywhere you go? Hey, by the way, it's $5 for this, $12 for that, $8 for that. Oh, then this here's a $5 economic adjustment charge.
The old phone companies used to do that right towards the end when a lot of them were going out. They had the list of like 10,000 charges. Why? Hey, we're only charging you $15 a month, but you're paying $70, Joe, because all the little charges.
Well, it's like renting a car, right? You go to rent the car, you're shopping around, and this guy, and by the way, car rentals, man, you talk about expensive. But you look at the price, it's $49 a day, $79 a day, and then you actually go to the checkout, and the price is doubled.
Yep.
Doubled. And it's these fees, all these fees on top of it. AT&T said it's raising their prices $6 on single lines, $12 on family plans in order to catch up with rising costs. So, again, if you listen to AT&T and Verizon, they're saying, hey, listen, we're just trying to catch up.
And that's just a fake way to say it's something like it's somebody else's fault. You run a business, Joe. Everything is a part of the cost. Really the bottom line is what do you actually pay to get the thing you're getting? It doesn't matter if they break it down to 500 things. There's a cost to getting that phone. That's all that really matters. But man, nobody wants to take responsibility for the cost of their business and passing it on to the consumer. They want to be the bad guy. Hey, $50 is now $70 for your phone bill. that's a part of what it costs us to get it to you. You know, right, Joe? Where's the business that just give it to you that way, right?
Yeah, Reuters is saying the International Tin Association, the ITA, said that global refined tin production has increased by 11%. But they said even though output is up, it still cannot keep up with demand. They said overall demand growth was up almost 33%. They said it's cooled down and now is only up 23%, which just means, that, and these are year-over-year numbers, that they started to run up when things have gotten higher. But let me just give you the long and short of it. The amount of inventory of tin continues to be at critically low levels, and saying that once China reopens, the levels are going to get even worse, and expect tin prices, which are already at record high, are only going to go higher. Now, there you have it, right? Don't worry. The inflation's just temporary, right? Remember that? Yeah. Guess again, Jay Powell. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. It's not all bad news. Home Depot had great earnings. If you want to look at something on the bright side, they're one of the few that I've seen actually raising guidance. Here's the thing, though. Their stock's actually still down 1% today. Walmart now down 10%. If we're keeping track at home, foreigners dumping U.S. stocks at all-time record highs. Almost $100 billion drop in a single month as foreigners unloaded stocks. But that's not all. China dumped another $15.2 billion in U.S. Treasuries. China's Treasury holdings, Jason, now the lowest in 12 years. So China had been, gradually, they had started selling gradually, like 2013, 2014, 2015. Then it kind of leveled off. And now, Jason, we're seeing renewed selling from the Chinese to the point now where they have less than $1 trillion of U.S. Treasuries. And it doesn't look like there's really any end in sight. This looks like a very slow, gradual decline in relying on U.S. dollars.
Yeah, China's interesting. I think they really like U.S. Treasuries, Joe, but you can kind of see where the market's going when it comes to their buying or selling. I think they love selling U.S. Treasuries when they think, hey, we'll just wait for the right moment, and then we'll buy back in. And 2019 December, they sold record amounts for a monthly total right before coronavirus came in and the markets crashed. And then they started buying again when everything stabilized. So makes me think that they're selling off so that they can buy more later, Joe. And I think China likes the idea of holding U.S. Treasuries as a weapon against us. Owning a certain percentage of our debt is good for them. That's what I think with China.
It's going to be really interesting because I have a very different take than Jason. I agree. The Chinese they view U.S. Treasuries like a stock trader. Hey, we think yields are going to keep rising, so we're going to sell off. And then, if they think yields are going to fall, then they may add to it, right? They want to kind of double dip it. But I'm beginning to wonder because, you look at the Chinese economy, and I know they shut down for all this stuff, but let's face it. They're right there with us. In dollar terms, the second largest economy in the world. In actual real stuff, they're the largest economy in the world. And you still, by and large, need to have dollars to buy what you need. But I think what China's been doing is, hey, listen, we're able now to buy more of what we need without using those dollars. And I wonder if they're starting this lightning process here, because it's really, it's been pretty pronounced, as Jason said recently. Is that because they're getting ready to make the big announcement that they're going to be buying all their crude oil in renminbi? And in that case, hey, we don't need to hold nearly as many dollars as we used to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point, Joe. And here's the thing is the dollar losing its world reserve currency has a big part of this. And I think what just seems to be happening, instead of the dollar completely being dumped, like the pound sterling was the U.S. reserve currency, and then it just kind of just went away after World War II. It seems to me like there's going to be this basket of currencies, kind of like the IMF, where you hold a certain percentage of whichever one seems to be the best during that part of whatever year or month you're in, and that's going to be disastrous for us. But it's weird, Joe. It's weird. The digital currency, it can go in so many places, and I think certain countries have a certain value in each government's holdings of debt, because I don't see the debt money system ending soon, Joe.
How about this one? Speaking of debt money system, Janet Yellen, she's been in Poland. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting. Why the heck would she be in Poland? Well, and remember now, Janet Yellen, who I have dubbed the most evil woman and extremely liberal, she's trying to get the global tax deal back on track. Remember, before COVID, she was trying to enact this thing where everybody agreed that, hey, you know what, because here's what she was trying to do. Hey, it's not fair. It's not fair. We got these countries like, out of Poland. They're going to give some of these companies, they're not going to make them pay a lot of taxes. And you know what? People are getting upset because Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or Tim Cook, right? These really high-flying companies, every year gets reported how they don't pay their fair share of taxes. And we have to do it because otherwise, Poland or Ireland or some other country, they're going to allow them to operate without taxes. So we've got to let them stay, in order to keep them. So she's trying, Jason, to enact an agreement where 130 countries all agree to charge corporations at least 15% in what she's calling a global minimum tax. Now, that may sound great. And I know a lot of us get upset when you hear that Amazon didn't pay any federal income tax or Tesla didn't pay any federal income tax. Let me just tell you what's going to happen if Janet Yellen gets this done. The price that you pay for everything on Amazon is going to go up 15%. Jason, it's just pretty simple. Right? The solution shouldn't be, hey, how can we figure out how to get these companies to pay tax? The solution should be, how can we figure out how to have less government so we don't need the tax?
Corporations should pay zero tax. There is no corporations paying tax. They never pay tax. It's a cost. And anything that's a cost gets piled onto the price of whatever you buy from that corporation. So corporations never pay tax. They never pay tax. I get why people don't get this simple thing, Joe. Corporations never pay tax.
And what Jason means is that's part of their cost. They just build the tax into what they charge for their products.
Yep. So you pay the tax. Us, we pay the tax. Nobody else, right, Joe?
Well, these corporations, they're just evil corporations. More crap out of the Biden administration. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Man, listen, how bad is inflation really going to be? Remember how hopeful they were with the inflation number last month. They want, it's going to peak. And, of course, I told you. I said, wait till China reopens. There's no peaking here. Gas prices, new all-time record high today. This is like the 5th day in a row. First time ever yesterday. First time ever. Wholesale unleaded gas closed above $4 to the gallon. Airfares, the largest monthly gain in airfares since they've been keeping records. By the way, they've been keeping records of airfares since 1963. Airfares surged almost 19% in a single month. Airfares are now 40% higher than a year ago. Also, not to be outdone, summer camp. Yeah, apparently they track that as well. You want to send your kids to summer camp, Jason? Prices up 15%. If you want to try to get your kid out in nature and maybe get off his cell phone for 10 minutes.
Everyone's clawing for their piece, Joe. That's for sure. Everyone needs to make ends meet. And so when the cost of everything, to do your particular business goes up, you have to charge more. I mean, it's like a figure eight. It just keeps feeding itself, Joe. And
what is the real cost? I wonder, what is inflation really? They said retail sales rose 0.9%. Now, this number is one of the few numbers that they don't adjust. Okay, this is just the flat number. It was up almost 1%. That is humongous. That's humongous. But there was a caveat. They said, most of it was probably inflation. And then I look at Walmart's number. Because let's face it, what are retail sales without Walmart? Walmart's such a huge piece of retail sales. And you looked at their earnings number. I know they're telling us 8.3 or 8.5% We're probably, Jason, not even probably, what are we looking at, 20? Right? If retail sales were up 0.9, but they don't factor inflation, was inflation just for a single month, was it up 1.5%, 2%, right? I mean, how long, this can't continue.
Yeah, every item that we talk about has a different level of price, that has gone up, Joe. But I like to go with the most basic. How many times have I talked about the water? The water that I buy and have delivered is 50% since last year. And I don't think everything's up 50%, Joe, but that's up 50%. I was paying $1 a gallon. Now it's $1.50 a gallon. In fact,
just look at airlines up 19% in a month.
And
guess what? That was April.
So you got to check the price from last year for the same flight versus this year. Then
then you're talking 40-50%.
Yeah,
right?
That's a big, that's a huge number.
40-50%.
Here's the thing: what were you paying last year to this year is actually more important than what you paid last month.
Right. Think about this: airfares, let's just say up 50%. Hotels probably up 50%. Right. Rental cars probably up 50%. I mean, the cost of a vacation has got to be just absolutely outrageous. Then you throw the food stuff on it. The world's largest fertilizer company just came out and said, by the way, it's a Canadian company, Nutrien Ltd., said that fertilizer stocks are so severely disrupted that the crisis is going to last well beyond 2022. What does that mean, well beyond? Obviously, more than 2023, right? More than 20. I mean, he's talking about. Are we setting up for a situation where we're going to have soaring food inflation for 5-10 years? The world fertilizer index is at levels never seen before, right? That's the price for fertilizers. Global grain reserves have dropped to the lowest levels ever. Due to the war, agriculture from Ukraine have been completely devastated, right? We talked about baby formula and the problems that are happening there, and then the bird flu, right? We talked about egg prices, chicken prices, Jason. It just seems like this problem continues to get worse and worse and worse, and we haven't even talked about what's happening in Lake Mead and Lake Powell and all the other reservoirs in the West.
Right, Joe. And people who study hyperinflation, and that's a word they don't seem to want to throw around during this thing. They want to talk about hyperinflation.
They sure don't, do they?
But here's the thing: 50% of something that you bought a year ago, that's a type of hyperinflation. People think, that no hyperinflation. They think of Weimar Republic, and they think of Venezuela, and Russia was crumbling during there when they changed and the wall came down and prices went crazy really fast. But hyperinflation can be measured on certain levels. 50% over a year, that's hyperinflation. That's not inflation. That's hyperinflation. That's fast. When you pay $1 for a gallon of water, and now you're paying $1.50, that means, just make it bigger. If I bought $1 million worth of water, now it's $1.5 million. That's $500,000 more in cost, Joe. That's all you have to do is grow the number to see how big it really is. 50%. That's huge. And Joe, why do I feel like transitory? And what was that term they just used? It's going to be here for a while. Why do I feel like that might be the same kind of definition? Transitory didn't really mean much, did it?
Yeah,
it's going to be with us for a while, right? It's going to be. How long is it? A little while.
This is what's starting to get to me as I'm watching. As we're going through another earnings season, we start listening to what these CEOs are saying. It's downright scary. When Walmart says, hey, this is unprecedented. We've never seen inflation like this. The largest fertilizer in the world. This is probably going to be around a long while. Patriot Radio News Hour, final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Prices on the rise. U.S. $20 gold today at $21.50. Silver Eagles, man, they were $7.10. Then they were $7.20. Now they're $7.30. And we're still the cheapest in the country. The best price, if you're looking to add the silver here, it looks like I was pretty close. I thought silver would bottom at 21. I think it got to 20, 60 something like that. Silver's up again today. Getting close to that $22 at one point here, $21.75. But the best deal by far are still on those $half-dollar rolls. You can pick up these $half-dollars and a lot of really nice, with a lot of nice Franklins in there, Kennedys in there. $240 a roll on the $half-dollars at 800-951-0592. And Jason, obviously silver prices have come off quite a bit. Think about it. Silver's like $25, went all the way down to 20 and change. Now coming back here, premiums are still elevated, but man, they're still a whole lot cheaper than they were just a couple of weeks ago.
That's right. Yeah, silver's not priced where it should be, so these higher premiums will probably stay there until silver prices itself correctly, and that's just the way it's been since coronavirus started. We're more than 2 years into these high premiums, but $240 for a roll of $half-dollar is pretty good. It wasn't too long ago. We were at $275, $285 a roll for regular circulated. Joe said that these are a little nicer. They're still, I would say, lightly circulated. Might be a good without seeing them.
Yeah, some of these are bumping up near AU, but we're not going to go through and separate these and that. So but it's a really good batch. A really good batch of $half-dollars. They're not those BUs, those BU Kennedys. Those were spectacular, but really good looking halves here. $240 a roll. Like I said, Silver Eagles are at $730 a roll, and then the $20 gold at $2,150 at 800-951-0592. And I guess I got to talk about Twitter. Elon Musk saying, "Hey, listen, I want to buy it, but not at the price I promised," because during discovery here, Jason, questions starting to arise about how many fake accounts Twitter actually has.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah, he's.
How does that work? Elon Musk is saying, man, they may have 20% of their accounts may be fake. Twitter says the number's less than 5%. So Elon Musk, just say, okay, well, prove it to me. How did you get that number?
That's really bad when you have to admit to the fake accounts at all.
Right. Well,
he's already,
5%.
He's already got him right where he wants them, Joe. He's got him right where he wants them. Well, so you're saying you have fake accounts?
I still think it's gonna. I'll say this: if the number's actually 20, then Elon Musk is not buying Twitter. If the number's actually 20, if it's a little closer to that 5% number, I think he buys it. But listen, he's just being smart, right? Hey, he thinks he can buy it for less now, right, Jason?
They may just offer him a discount, Joe. The way he's going, he's kind of.
Let me tell you,
he owns them at this point.
And then I'll tell you what, if that happens, right, then you know that number's a little higher than they want. Hey, all right, let's not talk about this publicly. How about we just agree to you'll pay a little less, and we just won't disclose how many accounts we're actually taking. Yeah, that could be. That makes a whole heck of a lot of sense.